Have you played Space Marine 2? Have you been Lieutenant Titus? Have you cleaved through hordes of Gaunts and slain the Carnifex? Have you ripped the head off of your Hellbrute foe? Well, if you have, and you're like me, you're like, holy crap, this game rocks, and I really feel powerful like a Space Marine. And it is a trap because it makes you think that heavy intercessors are suddenly good on the tabletop, or it makes you feel like, oh, maybe I should start taking lots of eliminators. And it's like, well, don't get trapped by that. But what we need to do is we need to figure out how dang good is Lieutenant Titus, and how good would he have to be on the tabletop to be able to absolutely represent how he crushes people in the game Space Marine 2. So that's what we're going to find out today. We're going to build our Lieutenant Titus. We're going to give him actual stats, and we're going to try to give him rational points to justify his stats. And this is a freaking doozy. So if you like this content, tune in, because today we are building Lieutenant Titus. Lieutenant Titus, let's start with this, okay? So what are the feats that we see him go through in the Space Marine 2 game? And I'm not going to talk about specific story events, so here's the deal, guys. No real spoilers here. But Lieutenant Titus is a beast, and he does have some just general feats that he accomplishes, which you can just see from all of the trailers. So let's talk about it. First off, Lieutenant Titus can very regularly just cleave through multiple gaunts in a single activation. There's multiple instances where you'll have one sweep of your chainsword, and you will kill 3, 4, 5 gaunts with it. So he absolutely can mow through hordes. He's got a pistol that has an extreme rate of fire, and that pistol is substantially deadly because you will be killing foes with your pistol. You'll be killing, dare I say it, big foes with your pistol. He's been known to solo a Carnifex. Now, granted, he's going to have fire support from his teammates, which means that he's not excited to go punch a Carnifex in the face, but if he needs to do it, well, damn it, he's ready for the challenge. He gets to regenerate from crippling wounds. He can get shot with a las cannon to the chest and then, go hide for a little bit, let his armor regenerate, pop a stim pack, and then suddenly he's back on his freaking feet. And have I mentioned that this guy gets to cleave through hordes of Gaunts or Zangors or whatever? This guy can cleave through one wound models. So here's the deal. This guy is going to have some form of advanced armor piercing as well, because he absolutely gets to kill, Terminators with a chainsword and things like this. So he's not stuck on the AP1 because he's able to kill units that have some pretty thick armor with just the chainsword. So let's start building out some base stats for Lieutenant Titus. Well, and what I think is best is for us just to start with a captain's profile. I know he's a lieutenant, but he was originally a captain. He was demoted down to a lieutenant. So what are the base stats of a captain? Base stats, we got a movement of 4, movement of 6, a toughness of 4, 5 wounds, a leadership of 6, OC 1, and a 3 up armor save with a 4 up invulnerable save. We're going to make some very slight alterations because while Titus is not actually a Gravis Marine, he is definitely tougher than Captain's stats might actually indicate. So we're going to increase his stats just a little bit. He's going to stay movement 6, but we're going to pump him up to T5. Not quite Gravis, but we're going to still give him that T5 boost. He's also going to gain 2 bonus wounds because it's just, homeboy has taken a shot to the face from a Hellbrute, which is the D3 plus 3 damage hammer. So it's like, you know what? He can handle a punch. So we're going to give him 7 wounds. We're going to give him leadership 5 because this guy is uncorruptible by the warp. He handles warp powers like it's no one's business, and he just does not care. So we're going to give him a great leadership 5. Not to mention, the shadow of the warp never bothers him in the game. So he is at least a brave man. OC1 is fine, no problems. We're going to keep him at that sweet 3 up armor save with a 4 up in a vulnerable save. Now, all right, so these are going to be the base stats that we're going to be running off of. Let's go ahead and build out his weapon profile. So he's got really 3 main weapons, and there's a Thunderhammer as well, but he's got 3 main weapons that we see over the course of the game with the addition of a Thunderhammer, which I'm not really going to talk about too much because it's, in my opinion, the worst weapon in the freaking game. So we've got a chainsword. Now, the captain model doesn't come with the ability to take a chainsword, but if you say like a Death Company captain does, so I'm going to kind of use that profile. So we're going to give his chainsword 7 attacks, weapon skill of 2 up, strength 4, AP 1, and 2 damage. Because we're just going to say it's a mastercrafted. That is going to be your mastercrafted chainsword. A mastercrafted power sword in the game, which you can take on lieutenants, you can take on captains, etc. This is going to be a base 6 attacks, 2 up weapon skill with a strength 5, AP 2, damage 2. And then a mastercrafted power fist would be 5 attacks, 2 up weapon skill, strength 8, AP 2, and damage 3. Now these are pretty boring profiles, but they are what the mastercrafted weapons in the game generally are on pretty much all profiles. So But this doesn't really accurately reflect what Lieutenant Titus does in the game. So we're going to have to kick it up just a little bit of a notch. I don't really want to change the weapon profile so much, though. So let's talk about some abilities that we can add on to his weapons so that we can accurately get the feel of playing Lieutenant Titus on the battlefield. Weapons. All right, so they're all mastercrafted. What we're going to do is we're going to give his melee weapons. Maybe let me modify that. Melee only. Will obtain dev wounds. This guy is killing Carnifexes with a chainsword. He is killing Hellbrutes with a chainsword. He is killing other big armored targets with a chainsword, which means he's got some way to get through that armor that isn't necessarily just AP. So we're going to give him dev wounds. And the fact that he's able to make it through these monsters, albeit with a little fire support from his squad, we're going to make sure that he will always critically wound on a 5+. This does give Lieutenant Titus some serious punching power for a solo model. In addition, this is going to be representing just the sheer ludicrous feats that he achieves in the game with the hordes of smaller foes that he fights. Against 1 wound models. Now, this rule will only apply to 1 wound models. Damage from dev wounds will spill over as if it were applied one at a time like your normal mortal wounds. So what does that mean? Basically, if I get 3 dev wounds with a damage 2 chainsword, it's going to kill 6 gaunts instead of 3 gaunts. So we're going to say that it spills over like it used to spill over specifically for his melee weapons, specifically against 1 wound models to represent Titus's just sheer unreasonable ability to chew through these hordes. He just cleaves it. It's absolutely ridiculous. By the way, guys, as I'm building this profile out for you, if you disagree with me and you have some other thoughts for how we build it, I would love to hear about it in the comments. So make sure you post them down there. I want to read what you guys have come up with as well. And this is not an argument. This is literally for fun for us to see what we could actually build on the tabletop. Then we're going to go for weapons. This is going to be his ranged weapons, and these are also going to be mastercrafted. So we're going to give him either a heavy bolt pistol or an auto bolt gun. Now, yes, in the game you do have the ability to take like a plasma pistol or a normal bolt pistol, but he's Primaris, so we're not going to use a normal bolt pistol. He gets a heavy bolt pistol at least. And you know what? I thought the plasma pistol sucked in the game, so I'm rocking with the normal heavy bolt pistol for my Lieutenant Titus. So just due to the sheer power of this pistol, this is no mere normal pistol. This bad boy absolutely rocks. So we're going to give this pistol an 18-inch range. It's going to have 1 shot, strength 5, because it's a little bit better than a normal heavy bolt pistol, with an AP of 1 and a damage of 2 because it's mastercrafted. And because of the sheer amount of shots that you can put out with these pistols in the game, we're going to give him a rapid fire of 3. So if you go within that 9-inch range, he's got a solid darn pistol. Then we also have a very, very strong auto bolt gun on Mr. Titus himself. I have killed Space Marines with this thing. I actually did kill a Hellbrute with it. I got the final blow with an auto bolt gun on a Hellbrute. So we're going to give it a typical 24-inch range. 2 shots, strength 5, because it's a little bit stronger. So we give that strength 5, AP 1, damage 2, because it is mastercrafted. Rapid fire 2, and with sustained hits 2. So he has a great gun if you want to equip him with said gun. Now let's look at the unique rules. So we got his weapons down. Let's look at some unique rules that we're going to give Lieutenant Titus. First off, this guy's going to be a lone op because he's going to roll by himself. He doesn't get to attach to any unit. Now, I know he runs with his 2 squad mates, but there's no leading like a unit of assault intercessors with him or anything. He is by himself. So we are giving this guy a lone op rule. This model gets a special ability, which is he may ignore any modifiers to its characteristic or its rolls, meaning you cannot make a -1 to hit, you cannot be -1 damage against him. That means that he will always get to use his rules. And this is fair because this guy gets to kick fate in the teeth constantly. If you haven't finished the game, I'm not going to spoil it to you, but there are big bads that this guy just gets to punch, and he does not care when they punch him. So and trust me, they care when Titus punches them. So he is going to ignore any modifiers to his particular characteristics and his roles. This does not apply to the units around him. We already talked about this model is going to score critical wounds on a 5-up. I'll put in parentheses melee only here. Melee only. In your command phase, he will regenerate D3 wounds. And what I'm going to say in the command phase, let's say in the command phase, not your command phase. No, you know what? That's broken. Let's say in your command phase. Yeah. in your command phase, because it does take him time to get out of the fight and to rest and recover before his health starts going up. So we're going to give him, in his command phase, he gets to regenerate D3 wounds. And I think this is really good and really representative of just the nature of the video game style in general, where he gets shot by a bunch of like, I don't know, like a grenade, several bolter shots, or he gets flamed, or a Carnifex punches him in the skull and he just, shrugs it off. This guy gets to keep coming back. He's got a normal 5-up, feel no pain. So he's got a 3-up armor save, 4-up invulnerable, 5-up, feel no pain. Very similar to the Lieutenant with combi weapon. Now, he's got 2 more abilities we're going to give him, and then we're going to be done with abilities for Lieutenant Titus. But Lieutenant Titus is such a pimp, he deserves more than your typical models. Once per game, now he used to be a captain, so we're going to give him something similar to the captain's or first to the fray ability. It's a little bit different. Once per game in the command phase, so you can do this in your command phase or your opponent's command phase, this model may enter a righteous rage. This lasts for the end of the turn, not battle round, just turn. So if you're using it in your opponent's turn, it's only their turn. If you're using it in your turn, it's only in your turn. You get to improve his feel no pain to a 4-up feel no pain from a 5-up, and he's going to gain sustained hits 1 on all of his attacks. So this is a very powerful ability, but it will only be active once per game. This is meant to represent his Y ability when you rage out and you start regenerating health and you just become a immortal war god on the battlefield. So that's what that's meant to represent. It's only going to be his a once per game ability. And then lastly, when this model attacks the Oath of Moment target, he will gain reroll wound rolls against that target. Maybe I should clarify against that target. Let's write that in there. Against that target. And this is because this guy somehow just always manages to pull it through no matter the big bad. So when his team looks at, okay, that's the nasty, we got to get this thing down, send Titus in. Titus will handle it. So he's going to get to reroll wound rolls against the Oath of Moment target. And that's pretty awesome. So let's bring it all together. Let's see where Lieutenant Titus is as of right now. So we've got a move 6, T5, 7 wounds, leadership 5, OC 1, 3-up save, 4-up invuln with a 5-up feel no pain. But he has a chainsword, and we're going to give him the chainsword just because the model has a chainsword. And you know what? Playing the game, I personally use the power sword, but I think the chainsword was just freaking iconic. So we're going to give him the chainsword. Now, the chainsword is a little bit better than like your typical chainsword. So we're going to give this chainsword a strength of 5. So 7 attacks, hits on 2s, strength 5, AP 1, damage 2, mastercrafted chainsword. His heavy bolt pistol, we've already been through that profile. It's a pistol with an 18-inch range, 1 attack, strength 5, AP 1, damage 2, with a rapid fire of 3 because that pistol is freaking awesome. Loan up, and we just went through all of the other abilities. Now, all of this, he can't join any units. He is a missile that can be sent out, and if he survives the clapback, he will regenerate. This makes him powerful, means that he will need points. I believe at approximately a cost of 175 points, that is a fair cost for this model. He can still get one shot by a lucky rupture effect that shoots him. He can still get blasted by a unit that charges him. Like if a unit of 8-bound charge him, this guy's still going to die. He's tough, but his toughness is in the ability to recover, not necessarily his ability to take the upfront punch. He has some really good offense, but he still is going to get overwhelmed by a lot of your elite infantry. And as you notice in the game, the elite infantry are the things that give you problems. So this is what I got for Lieutenant Titus. I think this is a pretty good profile for him. Plus or minus, maybe there could be arguments for a few more points, but I really want to hear about what you say. What abilities did I miss that you think you should put in? What stats did I miss? Do you think he should be more points, less points? I am really, really curious about your thoughts of how we should build Lieutenant Titus, but I would be excited to put him on the battlefield for this points cost. I might even be excited to put him on the table for maybe 5 or 10 more battle points. I'm not sure, but that would be an absolute blast, and I'd love to see more special characters in the game. Maybe not necessarily only more, Space Marine special characters. I'd like to see some special characters fleshed out for some of the other factions as well, but Lieutenant Titus is a Chad, and I'm excited to see him get his well due. If you guys haven't played Space Marine 2, it rocks. I'm currently playing it in the Discord. I know we've got a bunch of people who are playing it in the Discord. We're doing matchmaking there for people who want to play Space Marine 2 because it's a blast. It's a lot of fun. The multiplayer is absolutely sick. Personally, I like the PvE. I'm not really a PvP type person. It's just not me. I like my combat to be honest combat against an opponent when I'm playing with the tabletop miniatures. On the internet, I like to play with people. So there we go, guys. This is Lieutenant Titus. Let me know if you have any critiques, thoughts, or changes, and we'll be back to our regular scheduled programming at Happy Company Wargaming pretty darn soon. Until next time, carry on, Space Marines. Bye-bye.